Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. If you keep blowing it up, I'll be truly invincible. Chapter 91. It's finally time to draw lots. Above the stands, a young genius looked at the people passing through the valley below, who were queuing up to draw lots, and said a little excitedly. After drawing lots, everyone looked for the own competition platform. It didn't take long before the 450 competition platforms were full of people. What kind of godly luck is Mu Qingshe? Hey, it looks like the ice beauty from Tai Xuanzong will be eliminated first. I have to say that her luck really exploded. I didn't expect to draw the Xuanmingzong disciple who was against them. This disciple of the Xuanming sect is not weak, he is actually Qi Si Realm's 6th stage. In the stands where the young talents were, everyone's eyes were on Mu Qingshe. Zan Mingzong, Mu Qingshe of Tai Zan sect has drawn my Zan Ming sect disciple. Originally sluggish, Ji Yu Xuanyan, who was secretly thinking about how to get revenge in the future, heard the words Xuanmingzong, and suddenly regained his energy, stood up quickly, and looked for the competition platform where Mu Qingshe was. Soon, he found the competition platform where Mu Qingshe was. Now, the battle between Mu Qingshe and that Xuanmingzong disciple has reached a fever pitch. As soon as the two fought against each other, it was a killer move. Obviously, neither of them wanted to waste time on the other. After all, there are still many competitions to come. Being able to retain a bit of strength in this match will increase the odds of winning the next match. God is helping me too. Mu Qingshe is doomed to lose today, I told you so. Ji Yu Xuanyan watched the competition on the stage and laughed unscrupulously. Although he had no choice but to take Su Chen, it was the same when he saw Tai Xuanzong's disciples defeated by their Xuanmingzong disciples. Isn't it too early for you to be happy? Now that the game is tied, where do you have the confidence to be sure that Mu Qingshe will lose? Su Chen, who was resting with his eyes closed, opened his eyes leisurely when he heard Ji Yu Xuanyan's words, looked at him lightly, and said, Ji Yu Xuanyan rarely got angry, sneered, squinted, and said very confidently. Since you don't believe that Mu Qingshe will lose, why don't we two take a gamble? Ji Yu Xuanyan was very confident about the Xuanmingzong disciple in the field. After all, their Xuanming sect is not the beast familiar lineage of the Wuji sect who came here this time. Once the disciples of the beast mastering lineage of the Wuji sect lose the help of demonic beasts, their combat power will drop sharply. At the moment, the Xuanmingzong disciple who was fighting against Mu Qingshe had already reached the Qi Si Realm's 6th stage. Even in Xuanmingzong, he can be regarded as a genius. There is a difference of 3 small realms between the two, how can Mu Qingshe win? Sure, without thinking about it, Su Chen agreed directly. Some people are rushing to give themselves benefits, why not do it? I have a high-grade flying magic treasures here, called Cloud Shuttle, which can travel tens of thousands of miles a day, and can even withstand the attacks of the middle-stage powerhouses in the Divine Sea Realm. I'll bet you with this thing, how dare you? Ji Yu Xuanyan waved his hand. A 3-inch-long magic treasures exuding silvery white floated in the void, bursting out wisps of brilliance, eye-catching. This magic treasures immediately attracted everyone's attention as soon as it appeared. A piece of top-grade magic treasures is very precious for a proud person like them. And the top-grade flying magic treasures are even more precious. Of the dozens of arrogances present, none of them could bring out such a treasure. Even Situ Feng, who had been watching the battle on the field, couldn't help but look sideways at Ji Yu Xuanyan. How dare you bet with me? Ji Yu Xuanyan, enjoying the attention of everyone, glanced at Su Chen, and said proudly. What's your bet? Let me think. Su Chen withdrew his fiery gaze, pretended to be embarrassed, pondered for a moment, and said. A month and a half ago, I learned several cultivation technique martial skills from the Steel Insect, but none of them are useful to me. How about this, I'll bet against you with an Earth-level mid-grade martial skill. The voice fell to I. Su Chen spread his hands lightly. A white jade slip appeared in his palm. The level cultivation technique comprehended from the mysterious stone tablet is directly transmitted to the mind. The only jade slip in his hand is the heavenly rank top rank heavenly yan divine art. At this moment, it would be good to use it as an earth-level cultivation technique and martial skill. Anyway, he can't lose anyway. Earth-level cultivation technique martial skill. Countless people took a deep breath and looked at the jade slip in Su Chen's hand with fiery eyes. If Ji Yuxuanyan took out a top-grade flying magic treasures just to surprise them. The mid-grade martial skill that Su Chen brought out completely shocked them. This is a mid-level earth-level martial skill. All the people present are representatives of various forces this time, but not everyone has cultivated the mid-level martial skill. Because every level martial skill and cultivation technique is very precious. Good. That's it. Ji Yuxuanyan looked at the jade slip in Su Chen's hand with fiery eyes, and his eyes seemed to be shining. Afraid that Su Chen would repent, he hastily added, "I can't go back on my word." "Well, I don't regret it." Su Chen shook the jade slip in his hand, and said calmly, "Brother Su, don't be impulsive." At this moment, Lin Zan of the Spirit Sword sect spoke softly. "How precious is the mid-level martial skill?" The mid-level earth-level martial skill in Su Chen's hands can be exchanged for hundreds of top-level flying magic treasures in Ji Yuxuanyan's hands. If you really want to lose to Ji Yuxuanyan, it will be a big loss. Moreover, the strength of the two fighting below is very different. One Qi Si Realm 3rd stage, one Qi Si Realm 6th stage. The difference between the two is 3 small realms. Among the people present, no one was optimistic about Mu Qingshe. It can be said that this is almost a losing bet. Lin Zan, what do you mean by that? Since our brother Su is rich and powerful and wants to bet against me, it is naturally impossible to go back on his word. You say this now, do you want to participate? When Ji Yuxuanyan heard Lin Zan's words, he became anxious and said quickly. He is really worried that Su Chen would be moved by Lin Zan and immediately regret it. Since it's a bet against each other, the bets of both parties should be the same. Can the shuttle in your hand be compared with the middle-grade martial skill in Brother Su's hand? Not to be outdone, Lin Zan spoke back. Ji Yuxuanyan was stunned when he heard the words, and nodded miraculously, saying, "What you said makes sense. Say it." He glanced at the battle below, then at the jade slip in Su Chen's hand, gritted his teeth, took off the 2 storage rings in his hand, put them in front of him, and said, "This is all my possessions. Although the sum is still not as valuable as the middle-grade martial skill in your hands, these things are also of extraordinary value. What do you think?" The voice fell. Ji Yuxuanyan looked at Su Chen expectantly. Su Chen first shook his head slightly at Lin Zan, signaling that the other party should not worry, and did not rush to answer Ji Yuxuanyan. He looked up at the fierce battle in the field of vision, sighed lightly, and then said, "Based on you, it's still not enough." Not enough. When Ji Yuxuanyan heard this, his face became ugly. After pondering for a moment, he turned his head to look at Situfeng, hoping that the other party could help him. And Situfeng did not disappoint him. Sensing Ji Yuxuanyan's gaze, Situfeng coughed lightly, waved his hand lightly, and 2 top-quality magic treasures suddenly appeared in the void in front of him. A long sword, a long knife. There is a cold light shining on each piece, and the spiritual qi is compelling. Situfeng looked at Su Chen, and said calmly, "Then how about adding these 2 of mine?" So. Su Chen glanced at the 2 top-quality magic treasures with some dissatisfaction, and said vaguely. He knew that this was already the limit of the 2 of them. Ji Yuxuanyan's body has nothing to talk about, and it is impossible for Situfeng to bleed profusely because of Ji Yuxuanyan's bet. With this bet established, everyone in the stands turned their eyes to the competition stage where Mu Qingshe was. At this time, the battle between Mu Qingshe and that Xuanming sect disciple was coming to an end, and the winner was about to be decided. The sky trembled, an endless black mist gushed out of the void. This disciple of Zan Mingzong is also very powerful. He formed seals with his hands, and a black mist suddenly emanated from his palms. The black palm print shrouding the heavens covered the sun, like a dark cloud, and shot towards Mu Qingshe. It was so dark that it was creepy. Boom! Mu Qingshe stood on the competition platform. Facing the attack of the black palm prints, her curvy figure had a layer of lavender brilliance gushing out from the surface of her body, like 3,000 purple qi pouring out. Break! Mu Qingshe let out a soft drink, stretched out her slender hand and collided with the black palm print. The collision between the two is like the tip of a needle pointing at a wheat awning. Boom! There was a loud bang. I saw that the black mist in the field was surging, and the purple air was dyed, rushing in all directions. The terrifying power fluctuations have even affected everyone who is fighting in other competition platforms. Hiss! What a terrifying strength! Someone gasped and exclaimed. Although Mu Qingshui's realm is only Qi Si realm 3rd stage, the strength he displayed is no less than the existence of Qi Si realm 6th stage. Boom! The two palms collided again. This time the sound was not loud, but the power was more terrifying than before. The pitch-black clouds vanished, but the purple aura shrouded the entire competition platform. PFF. The disciple of Xuanmingzong spit out a mouthful of bright red blood, and the whole person flew out in the brilliance of the sky. It landed directly outside the competition platform, making a muffled sound. This sudden scene made the hearts of everyone present skip a beat. Looking at the disciples of Xuanmingzong who fell outside the field, Ji Yuxuanyan was full of disbelief, stood up abruptly, and shouted loudly. How can this be? Thank you two fellow Taoists for your gift. Su Chen stood up with a smile all over his face, and lightly cupped hands towards Ji Yuxuanyan and Situ Feng who were in shock. The voice fell. He gently waved towards the item that Ji Yuxuanyan and Situ Feng had just bet on. Those items flew to Su Chen in an instant. Su Chen picked up the 2 storage rings, cut off contact with Ji Yuxuanyan in front of everyone, and dripped a drop of blood essence. I have to say that there are indeed many good things in these 2 storage rings. Spirit stones, medicine pill, weapons, heavenly and mortal treasures. It can be said to have everything that one expects to find. Although the grades are not very high, the advantage lies in the large number. After all, Ji Yuxuanyan can also be regarded as a person with a head and a face. He can become the leader of Xuanmingzong this time, which shows his status in Xuanmingzong. As for the 2 superb magic treasures of Chuan Yunshuo and Situ Feng, Su Chen just glanced at them lightly and put them away. He was going to wait until the competition was over before returning to the small courtyard to recognize the master. I didn't expect that there is a more convenient method in this world than killing people and stealing goods. Su Chen said with some emotion. In the past, why didn't I think of betting with others? Dust. Ji Yuxuanyan's face was gloomy, his eyes were scarlet. At this moment, his heart is bleeding. In the bet just now, he bet all of On's net worth. As a result, all the money lost was lost. It can be said that his pocket is cleaner than his face at the moment. Situ Feng, who was standing beside him, had a look on his face. He didn't have a good face towards Su Chen, but now he has an even more bad face towards Ji Yuxuanyan. You can't hide the look in your eyes when you want to kill yourself. Situ Feng now has the heart to kill Ji Yuxuanyan. If it wasn't for Ji Yuxuanyan's instigation, how could he get 2 top-quality magic treasures? To know, he borrowed these 2 ultimate magic treasures from the sect leader of the Wuji sect. Now Su Chen is so cheap, he doesn't even know how to explain it when he goes back. Su Chen, tell me, did you do it on purpose? Did you know that Mu Qingshe has practiced body refining cultivation technique, so you deliberately bet against me? Ji Yuxuanyan yelled at Su Chen like a madman. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the dazzling purple light on Mu Qingshui's body from the last blow just now must have been caused by the body refining cultivation technique. And the grade of this body refining cultivation technique is absolutely not bad. Most importantly, judging by its power, Mu Qingshe seems to have cultivated it to great completion. There is this whole card. The ordinary Qi Si Realm 6th stage cultivator couldn't break through Mu Qingshui's defense at all. Do you want to default? Su Chen didn't answer his question. Because even he didn't know when Mu Qingshe practiced body refining cultivation technique. As his voice fell, a terrifying coercion instantly spread. The powerful oppressive force caused a deep feeling of powerlessness and terror in the hearts of those present. This is a supreme coercion. It was like descending from the ancient god's mansion, and they were powerless to resist. Especially Ji Yuxuanyan, who bears the brunt, seems to be carrying 2 mountains on his shoulders. Boom! There was a muffled sound. I saw that Ji Yuxuanyan fell to his knees in an instant. With him at the center, the entire stand was cracked with tiny cracks, as if it would collapse at any moment. Hiss! Everyone gasped. This is the first time that Su Chen has shown his own power in front of everyone. But it was just the tip of the iceberg that directly caused Xuanmingzong's arrogance, Ji Xuanyan, to kneel on the ground. What realm is he? Such a terrifying coercion. Could it be that he is the Qi realm 9th stage? It should be right. After all, he stepped into the Forbidden Realm when he was in the Qi Gathering Realm. It's not surprising that he can have such power in the Qi realm 9th stage. Quote. Some Tianzhao who were neutral sect looked at Su Chen, who was like a god's mansion, and said one after another. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 1/320th close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 2/320th close black lens bracket. The familiar virtual panel appeared in front of Su Chen's eyes, and the numbers on it were jumping at an extremely fast speed. The strength shown by Su Chen at this moment has already convinced them that Su Chen is the cultivator of Qi realm 9th stage. The voices of these neutral sect Tianzhao are not loud, but they are clearly heard by everyone in the field. Some disciples who worshipped Su Chen did not have the slightest doubt about these Tianzhao's words because of their preconceived notions. People who had no foundation of trust in Su Chen couldn't help but secretly nodded in agreement when they heard what Tianzhao said. They have no basis of trust in Su Chen. But they didn't dare to question the words of the many arrogances in the stands. Open black lens bracket. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 299/320th close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 300/320th close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 319/320th close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Breakthrough to Qi realm 9th stage. 320/320th close black lens bracket. There are tens of thousands of people present. Therefore, the characters on the virtual panel jump very fast. In just the blink of an eye, the progress bar was full. Boom! A stream of pure energy exploded from Su Chen's Qi. Immediately afterwards, a huge aura emanated from Su Chen's body. Really, this is the breath of Qi realm 9th stage. Above the stands, many Tianzhao took a deep breath and said solemnly. In their view, this is Su Chen's response to them. It means that he is undoubtedly the cultivator of Qi realm 9th stage. The coercion from the tip of the Qi realm 9th stage iceberg directly forced a Qi realm 8th stage cultivator to kneel down. To know, there is only a small realm between the two. Su Chen is Qi realm 9th stage, and Ji Xuanyan is Qi realm 8th stage. But it is such a small gap in realm, but it seems to be a world of difference. Ji Xuanyan was like a child facing Su Chen, without any resistance. Moreover, this is just coercion. If Su Chen really makes a move, I'm afraid Ji Xuanyan won't be able to last a breath in Su Chen's hands. Qi realm 9th stage. Situ Feng felt the aura emanating from Su Chen's body, and he was also shocked. He subconsciously touched the demonic beast's bag on his waist, and his fear of Su Chen increased to a higher level. Previously, he only regarded Su Chen as an opponent. Now, Su Chen's position in his heart has risen to the level of a life and death enemy. If you want to defeat the opponent, I am afraid that you will have no cards left. It's enough to teach him a lesson. At this time, a light word fell into Su Chen's ears. The voice was familiar to him, it was Van Elder's voice. Hearing this, Su Chen turned his head to look. I see. In another stand, dozens of old people were sitting upright. At this moment, they no longer pay attention to the battle below, but look towards the stands where they are. In the stands where the elders of all parties were located, a middle-aged man sat in the center. He was dressed in a black python robe, not stained with dust, black as a waterfall, and a pair of eyes as deep as the sea. When he met Su Chen's eyes, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, showing a very appreciative look. This person is none other than Zhenbei, king of the Great Chu dynasty. Su Chen sensed everyone's gaze, and easily withdrew his coercion. As his coercion disappeared, Ji Xuanyan lay on the ground in an extremely embarrassed posture, his clothes were completely soaked in sweat. Ji Xuanyan's eyes were wide open, panting heavily, and the depths of his eyes were filled with horror. Is this the strength of Tianzhao who stepped into the taboo realm in the Qi Gathering realm? He never thought that Su Chen would have such terrifying strength. Before Su Chen made a move, he never thought that the gap between himself and the opponent would be so big. It's almost hopeless. Ji Yuxuanyan stood up silently, returned to his original position without saying a word, and did not continue to provoke. Those who made provocative words before were fearless. Coupled with the fact that Su Chen has always been silent, Ji Yuxuanyan felt that he had the backing of Zan Mingzong, so he could do whatever he wanted. But it's different now. Su Chen has already shown his terrifying strength. If he doesn't open his eyes again, he will continue to provoke Su Chen. I'm afraid that when he enters the battlefield of 100 monsters, it will be the day of his death. Ji Yuxuanyan returned to the seat silently, bowed his head and said nothing. Many Tianzhao present all looked at Ji Yuxuanyan in surprise. Is he transsexual, or were you completely intimidated by Su Chen's power just now? In their view, the latter is more likely. However, this is also understandable. The coercion exuded by Su Chen earlier not only shocked Ji Yuxuanyan alone, but they also trembled in their hearts. Fortunately, Su Chen didn't target himself. Otherwise, On may not end up much better than Ji Yuxuanyan. After the farce just now, the stands were much quieter. Everyone turned their eyes back to the competition platform below. Thousands of people competed on the same stage, and there were still many dark horses among them. But who is the strongest dark horse in this batch? Of course it must be Mu Qingshe. She refreshed everyone's opinion time and time again. From the beginning when it was determined that Mu Qingshe would be eliminated in the first round, until Mu Qingshe made it to the semifinals. Because of this, no one present dared to underestimate Mu Qingshe. Although she is only Qi Si Realm 3rd stage, if she explodes with all her strength, even the cultivator of Qi Si Realm 6th stage may overturn. Two evildoers have emerged from Tai Xuanzong. King Zhenbei looked at Mu Qingshe in the field and murmured softly. His voice was not loud, but the elders of all surrounding forces heard it. Some people looked thoughtful, some looked dignified, and some were envious. Only Van Elder was different. His old face was filled with a happy smile, like a brilliant chrysanthemum blooming, and his mouth had not been closed since the beginning of the competition. Another round is over. Finally, Mu Qingshe and a disciple of Wuji sect entered the final. As soon as the two took the stage, they attracted the attention of countless people. One is the favorite to win the championship that everyone has determined from the beginning to win the championship. One is the biggest dark horse that suddenly appeared. The confrontation between these two people is bound to be a battle between dragons and tigers. Brother Satu, I have a top-grade flying magic treasures flying through the clouds. Do you want to bet with me on who will win this competition? Su Chen glanced at the competition platform below, then set his eyes on Satu Feng, and said suddenly. Satu Feng hadn't reacted yet, but Ji Yuxuanyan, who was beside him, twitched his eyes and looked at the shuttle in Su Chen's hand. His face turned green and then pale. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but swallowed it when he reached his mouth. Go back. It was supposed to be his. But now it has fallen into the hands of Su Chen. Now it is even taken out by him as a bet, which is equivalent to pouring salt on his wounds. It is both murderous and heartbreaking. Snort. Satu Feng snorted coldly, but did not respond. Although he had a lot of confidence in his junior brother, it was not just luck that Mu Qingshe was able to get to this point. If the two really fight each other, the outcome is really hard to predict. At such a juncture, if Su Chen finds a matchmaker, he must have malicious intentions. Maybe it will repeat the situation just now. Moreover, even if Su Chen lost, he didn't have any loss. Anyway, he won shuttle through the clouds. But if he loses, the loss will be huge. He just put in 2 top-quality magic treasures, and he is still worried about how to explain it to the sect leader. Sigh, I didn't expect the dignified leader of the Wuji sect to be such a coward. Su Chen curled his lips and said mockingly. Then, he turned his head to look at the other sect champions in the field. Many Tianzhao present felt Su Chen's gaze, avoided them one after another, and looked at the competition platform below with serious expressions. Well, Su Chen sighed helplessly, and finally set his eyes on the depressed Ji Yuxuanyan. Brother Ji Yu, you and I hit it off right away and are as close as brothers. Surely you won't refuse this small request of mine. Ji Yuxuanyan's heart trembled when he heard the words, and he quickly got up and walked to the edge of the stands, staring intently at the competition stage below. Seeing this, Su Chen shook his head helplessly. I just want to make a simple bet, is that wrong? Why seeing yourself one by one is the same as seeing the god of plague? Su Chen, who was not interested, could only look down at the competition platform, and murmured softly, "It's really boring." Now, the atmosphere on the competition stage was extremely dignified. The disciple of the Promise sect was a burly figure, a full 2 meters tall, with explosive muscles, standing in front of Mu Qingshe like a hill. He stood with his hands behind his back, his robe was blown up by the breeze, and a reckless aura emanated from his body. This physique is completely comparable to Lu Yang. Su Chen looked at the Wuji sect disciple who was like a hill, and complained. "Little girl, I didn't expect you to make it this far. But it's over here. The number 1 must be mine. I'll give you a chance because you're a girl. Let's take the initiative to admit defeat." The Promise sect disciple stood proudly, looked at Mu Qingshe with greedy eyes, and said, "If you don't admit defeat, I will abolish your cultivation base, then ravage you well, and let you know the fate of humiliating my Promise sect." In today's competition, Tai Xuanzong and Wu Zhizong had already had a real fight. The two sects couldn't deal with each other in the first place, and what happened yesterday, they didn't hold back at all on the stage. Several Tai Xuanzong Qi Si Realm 3rd stage disciples have died at the hands of Wu Zhizong disciples. Certainly, the Promise sect disciples didn't have a good time, and they were also killed by Tai Xuanzong. Mu Qingshe is one of the best. No fewer than 3 Wuji sect disciples died at her hands today, and several of them were abolished by him. If someone hadn't stopped her, those disciples would have died in her hands. Even if someone stopped him, Mu Qingshe still killed their demonic beasts. A disciple of the Promise sect without the assistance of demonic beasts is like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, vulnerable to a single blow. The strength of a body is greatly reduced, and the combat power that can be displayed is less than 50%. Is your Wuji sect's cultivation technique specialized in mouth? Mu Qingshe frowned slightly, and said with disgust in her beautiful lavender eyes. Accompanied by her voice fell. She stretched out her slender hand, and a cyan glow burst out of her palm. As soon as the cyan light appeared, it was strong against the wind and turned into a cyan banner. Mu Qingshe then inserted the flag into the ground. The flag fell to the ground and instantly rose up. Soon, the flag towered over the competition platform like a towering tree, exuding a faint cyan glow, covering the entire competition platform. Crash! The breeze blows. The cyan flag fluttered, shrouding the heavens, covered the sun, covering the sky above the competition platform. There are cyan auras everywhere in the competition stage, and a terrifying killing intent pervades, making people shudder. This is formation on the high platform where Su Chen is. Yu Tianzhao looked at the cyan light in the competition stage, and spoke with a dignified expression. They didn't expect that Mu Qingshe still had a whole card. Moreover, as soon as it is shot, it is a low-grade magic treasures, and a killing array is burned inside. This killing array is nothing to these arrogant people. But for that disciple of the Promise sect, it was very dangerous. Clatter! The flag exuding a blue divine light fluttered. Every time it is blown by the breeze, a cyan sword light will appear, rampaging in the competition stage. The invincible sword light cut deep ravines on the entire competition platform. It's interesting. Su Chen looked at the competition table below, and changed into a comfortable sitting position with a smile on his face. Roar! At this moment, a loud roar came from the competition platform. Immediately afterwards, a huge demonic beast appeared in the competition stage. It was shaped like a chicken, covered with white scales, the scales shone with a cold light, and its sharp mouth roared. The native chicken flapped its wings and came to the edge of the flag, using its huge body to resist the sharp sword glow emanating from the flag. These demonic beasts look really weird. Su Chen looked at the huge chicken on the competition stage, his eyes lit up. Clang, clang, clang. The dense sword light hit the body of the chicken, splashing a series of sparks. Tuji was constantly attacked by countless sword beams, anger welled up in his golden and black eyes, and he looked towards Mu Qingshe not far away with a killing intent. The disciple of the Wuji sect jumped up and rode steadily on the chicken, and said in a cold voice, "Kill her." As soon as the words came out, the native chicken neighed again. A tragic breath swept out. In an instant, a scene like a sea of corpses emerged, which was treacherous and terrifying. Before the chicken's neighing sound fell, it turned into a stream of light and quickly swooped towards Mu Qingshe. The huge body is like a hill, rumbling forward, giving people a huge pressure. If there is a person whose determination is not firm, I am afraid that they will completely collapse before they can fight in the future. Mu Qingshe didn't panic. She stood there without any expression on her delicate and pretty face. However, the aura on her body was rising steadily. The original cultivation base of Qi Si Realm 3rd stage reaches Qi Si Realm 4th stage in an instant. And it hasn't stopped yet. Her breath barely stopped until Qi Si Realm 5th stage. Mu Qingshe was bathed in a cyan glow, and she was like a nine heavens mysterious girl. She gently stretched out a white jade hand, and grabbed the chicken straightly. Boom! Mu Qingshui's white hands collided with the native chicken's paws. In an instant, the monstrous light burst out, sweeping the four directions. The competition platform under their feet was rumbling and shaking. The two kinds of light, blue and red, merged together and soared into the sky, shaking the competition platform. The blue and red rays of light flooded the sky and the earth, forming a vast expanse. Soon, the field fell into dead silence. The chicken-shaped demonic beasts didn't move at all, but Mu Qingshe stepped back half-step. Such a scene shocked everyone. Demonic beasts are known for their rough skin and thick flesh, but Mu Qingshe fought hard on her own, and she was only slightly behind. This is incredible. Boom! One person and one chicken entered the shocking fight again after this brief period of tranquility. The entire competition platform was about to be smashed by them. This Mu Qingshe must have used some kind of secret technique, right? In the stands where Su Chen and the others were, someone saw Mu Qingshui's state at the moment and said, forcibly stimulating the potential to improve the realm, it should not be sustainable. I'm sure, within an hour, Mu Qingshe will definitely lose. Situ Feng glanced at Su Chen, and said with a proud face. Hehe, then let's see if your promised sect disciples can survive an hour in her hands. In case Mu Qingshe defeats your Wuji sect disciples within the duration of the secret technique, tisk tisk tisk. Lin Zan of Spirit Sword sect shook his head sarcastically and said. After saying that, he looked at Su Chen and said with a smile, now I finally understand why Brother Su protected Mu Qingshe. Even though Mu Qingshe used the secret technique to be evenly matched with the promised sect disciple in the arena. But it also proved her potential in disguise. After all, not everyone can leapfrog the battle before using the secret technique. To know, before this, Mu Qingshe didn't use any secret techniques, and relied on her own strength to force her way in. Thinking in another way, if their Spirit Sword sect also had such a dazzling disciple, he would also choose to take shelter like Su Chen. Even if you make green leaves yourself, you are willing. After all, a genius like Mu Qingshe is destined to rise as long as he does not fall in the future. Not to mention, Mu Qingshui's appearance is quite bursting in the eyes of the Chu dynasty. Even compared with the 9 princesses who are famous for their beauty, they are not inferior at all. From Brother Su's point of view, who will have a better chance of winning this competition? Lin Zan glanced at the fierce battle below, and asked. It must be Mu Qingshe. Su Chen replied without thinking. Hehe, shameless. When Situ Feng heard this, a look of displeasure flashed across his face, and he spoke with disdain. The fierce battle below has reached a fever pitch. Although Mu Qingshe has low-grade magic treasures, she is mighty, and with a slight shake of the flag, countless sword lights will burst out. But it still couldn't hurt the demonic beasts of the promised sect disciples. The situation in the arena showed a one-sided trend. Not surprisingly, Mu Qingshe will definitely lose. Oh, Brother Situ means you want to bet against me. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes lit up suddenly, and he stared at Situ Feng with hope in his eyes. Situ Feng. He turned his head silently, looked at the competition below, and did not answer. Well, seeing this, Su Chen sighed softly, and looked boredly at the field. About half an hour passed. Mu Qingshui's state obviously began to decline. She was not as brave as before, and the breath on her body also showed signs of slipping. Everyone knew very well that the time limit for Mu Qingshui's secret technique might be approaching. The promised sect disciple standing on top of the chicken saw this scene, and his eyes suddenly lit up. This is the moment. Taking advantage of Mu Qingshui's weakening strength, he must kill him as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Mu Qingshe called out to admit defeat, she would have no chance to fight. This is called taking advantage of her illness to kill her. Admit defeat. Honestly, I don't want to destroy flowers with my hands. The disciple of the Promise sect spoke proudly. Although his mouth was telling Mu Qingshe to admit defeat, the movements of his hands never stopped, and he never gave Mu Qingshe a chance to speak. He made mudras with both hands and penetrated into the chicken's body. The native chicken, which was already huge, became bigger again. The native chicken raised its head to the sky and roared furiously, protruding a chicken paw. Each nail was 1 meter long, and each nail showed a blue-gold color. A streak of blue lightning wrapped around it, crackling. Suddenly, there was a palpitating breath in the sky. This is a destructive force, tyrannical and terrifying. The green-gold chicken feet continued to enlarge, covering the sky in just an instant. Thunder and lightning flashed within hundreds of meters, like a dark cloud pressing down on Mu Qingshe. Not to mention the Qi Realm 5th stage, even Qi Realm 7 and 8th stage powerhouses in the stands couldn't help but change their expressions. Brother Su, let Mu Qingshe admit defeat. Even Lin Zan of the Spirit Sword sect couldn't stand it any longer, and said admonishingly. He couldn't bear to watch it any longer. Facing this strike, even he has to be treated seriously, let alone Mu Qingshe. If Mu Qingshe is the genuine Qi Realm 5th stage, that's all. But the point is, she is not. She is just a cultivator of Qi Realm 3rd stage, relying on secret techniques to forcibly upgrade to Qi Realm 5th stage. Not far away, Situ Feng looked at the scene on the competition stage, with a smile of victory in his mouth. If nothing else, the first place in this competition should be their Promise sect. If Mu Qingshe doesn't admit defeat, within 3 breaths, it will become a puddle of blood. Think here. Situ Feng couldn't help looking at Su Chen. I don't know if the talented leader of Tai Xuanzong will admit defeat for Mu Qingshe at this critical moment. If Su Chen really couldn't help himself and wanted to save Mu Qingshe at a critical moment, then he wouldn't mind stopping him. If you block Su Chen by yourself, Mu Qingshe will definitely die. It must be fun for Su Chen to watch the junior sister whom he has been sheltering all along die in front of Own. What's the rush? Su Chen shook his head slightly, his expression remained calm, he yawned, and said, let's read on. The outcome is not decided, and no one can decide the result. I still have confidence in Mu Qingshe Su Chen. If Own hadn't appeared, this person would definitely be the proud son of Tai Xuanzong, the team leader this time. If such an existence can't beat a disciple of the Wuji sect, it would be a bit too low. Even if Mu Qingshui's life is really in danger, he might save her for the sake of his fellow disciples. But from now on, Mu Qingshui's status in his heart will drop greatly. Hee, the dead duck has a hard mouth. When Situ Feng heard this, he couldn't help but sneered. When is this, and she is still so calm, she is not afraid that Mu Qingshe will die on the competition stage. In his opinion, Su Chen is pretending to be calm. Maybe he is already flustered at the moment, but he has to pretend to be calm for the sake of face. Click. Blue lightning crisscrossed and fell from the chicken's paws. The chicken feet spread across the sky, overwhelming the world. Before such a powerful attack was approaching, it made people feel a sense of suffocation. Do you really think I'm at the end of my rope? Faced with such a terrifying blow, Mu Qingshe looked calm and said softly. She didn't make any movements, but the breath on her body changed suddenly. Originally, the cultivation base of Qi Realm 5th stage broke through instantly to Qi Realm 6th stage. With the blessing of the Burning Blood secret technique, her own realm also successfully broke through to the Qi Realm 4th stage. Therefore, her breath will change at this moment. In an instant, the power of boiling blood was like a blood dragon, flying out of her body, piercing through the sky and shaking in all directions. The vast ocean-like power of qi and blood covered the entire competition platform, making everyone stunned in place. Facing the falling chicken feet, Mu Qingshe looked calm and did not panic at all. Her method was simple and brutal, with a flick of the wrist. Clang! A water-blue long sword appeared in her hand. She stabbed out with a sword in the direction of the chicken feet. Clang! The aqua-blue long sword ray is radiant, like a divine armament just forged from the furnace. The long sword collided with the chicken's claws, and the terrifying aftermath made the entire competition stage tremble. This strike is beyond everyone's imagination. The water blue long sword was invincible, piercing through the huge chicken claw in an instant. The bright red blood sprinkled to the sky. Amid the wailing of the native chicken, the power of the long sword in Mu Qingshui's hand remained undiminished, and its divine light flickered. Pooh! With unparalleled destructive power, the long sword pierced through the chicken's head in an instant. Mu Qingshui was bathed in fresh blood, like a female demon goddess. She stretched out her plain white hands, and as quickly as lightning, she grabbed the promised sect disciple on top of demonic beasts. How can this be? The Wuji sect disciple's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. In the last second, he was sure of winning, thinking that Mu Qingshui would definitely lose. But in the next second, the demonic beasts under him were headshot by Mu Qingshui. Fall from heaven, the underworld is but a blink of an eye. He formed a seal with his hands, condensed a golden light curtain, and stood in front of On, trying to resist Mu Qingshui's strike. But the result disappointed him greatly. In front of Mu Qingshui, the golden light curtain was pierced by a sword-like paper. Then, a plain white jade hand patted the center of his chest. Boom! The promised sect disciple suddenly felt as if struck by lightning. Half of his body exploded, dripping with blood and bones, and flew straight upside down. Do not kill me. We have something to talk about. The disciple of the Wuji sect felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. After the only half of his body fell to the ground, he crawled towards the back in a panic. While crawling, he kept begging for mercy in his mouth. Just when he was about to yell and admit defeat, Mu Qingshui made a decisive move. Swish! At this moment, the martial skill of the top rank of mysterious rank, the 1,000-mile tracking technique, has been brought to the extreme by her. Her figure was like lightning, her palms were cut across, like a peerless divine armament, slashing towards the neck of that disciple of the promised sect. It's too late, Mu Qingshui's cold voice sounded. From the very beginning, his foul language made Mu Qingshui feel murderous. Now that he has the upper hand, how can he be merciful? Presumptuous. Just when Mu Qingshui was about to slash the Wuji sect disciple's neck, there was a thunderous roar. The voice just fell. A stalwart figure stepped out of the stands and appeared directly on the competition stage. The moment he appeared, he punched out directly, hitting Mu Qingshui's chest straight. This punch was extremely fast and powerful. If he was really hit, even if Mu Qingshui didn't die, he would lose half of his life. But just when the fist was about to land on Mu Qingshui, a purple figure floated up and stood in front of Mu Qingshui. His clothes fluttered, one hand was behind his back, and the other was clenched to meet him, looking very calm and breezy. But such a casual punch collided with Situ Feng's fierce punch. Boom! The two fists collided, sending out a shocking sound wave. The terrifying aftermath centered on the two of them, and spread wildly in all directions. The purple figure didn't take a step back, but Situ Feng flew upside down, smashing 7 or 8 competition platforms in a row before barely stopping. Even Situ Feng is not Su Chen's opponent. Just knocking Situ Feng into the air with a single punch, I'm afraid the next 100 demons battlefield will be Su Chen's battleground alone. It can't be said that way. Situ Feng is a disciple of the beast monitoring lineage of the Wuji sect. Their strongest means are all on demonic beasts. Their own strength is not very outstanding. It is reasonable that they can't beat Su Chen. First Ji Yu Xuanyan, then Situ Feng. This Su Chen is also the only one among the younger generation. As expected of an existence who has stepped into the forbidden realm in the Qi-gathering realm. Looking at Situ Feng, who was standing among the rubble under the stage, many people whispered. They know Su Chen is strong. Because after getting to know Su Chen, every time the opponent made a shot, they refreshed their cognition. Just this short day today, Su Chen first suppressed Ji Yu Xuanyan with coercion, and now he punched Situ Feng back. This makes many people can't help but have a feeling of looking up to the mountains. Is this still a character among his peers? How could it be so strong? What would happen if he was given 20 years? PFF'd. Just when everyone was discussing, a bloody flower bloomed. Before the promised sect disciple had time to admit defeat, he was beheaded by Mu Qingshui's palm. The bright red blood flowed all over the ground, and the scene was extremely miserable. Su Chen, Mu Qingshui. The veins on Situ Feng's forehead popped up, like a wild beast that wanted to choose someone to eat, standing in the rubble. There was a violent breath in his body, wanting to destroy everything. At this moment, his eyes were scarlet, almost losing his mind. He raised one hand slowly, reaching for the demonic beast's bag at his waist. The bag just opened a gap, and there was a terrifying coercion in it, like a demon emperor from ancient times crossing the long river of time and descending on this place. Even if there is only a trace of power, it can tear people's souls apart, making everyone present feel a terrible sense of suffocation, almost unable to breathe. Some of the disciples who had just finished the competition did not disperse, and they all gathered around the competition platform. When they felt this terrifying power, they immediately collapsed to the ground. That kind of tremendous pressure is like a mountain, pressing on everyone's heart, making them unbearable at all. This was just the result of a crack opening in the demonic beast's bag on Situ Feng's waist. If the demonic beasts inside were released directly, God knows what terrible scenes would appear. Situ Feng, calm down. Just before the demonic beast's bag was completely opened, the accompanying elder of the promised sect suddenly came to Situ Feng. He stretched out his withered palm, put it on Situ Feng's shoulder, and shouted in a deep voice. Accompanied by the old man's voice fell. Situ Feng, who had scarlet eyes, instantly returned to normal. But the murderous intent and anger contained in his eyes did not subside in the slightest. With a wave of his cuff, the old man put away all the corpses of the promised sect disciples and demonic beasts. His hawk-like eyes finally fell on Su Chen and Mu Qingshe, and said in a low voice. Today's matter is that my Wuji sect skills are not as good as others. But you disciples of the Taizan sect are ruthless, this matter. Speaking of this, the tone of the promised sect elder stagnated a little, he stared at Su Chen, and said in a cold voice. My promised sect has recorded this matter. Say it. He took Situ Feng and turned around to leave. Senior brother Su, thank you for your shot just now. Standing behind Su Chen, Mu Qingshe slightly cupped her hands. Today, Su Chen saved her again. Although she can completely block that blow with her own strength, she will inevitably be seriously injured. As for beheading that promised sect disciple, it was even more impossible to complete. Situ Feng has made a move, so I can't just sit idly by. It's junior sister, it's really gratifying to get the first place in the grand competition today. Hearing this, Su Chen turned around and smiled slightly. His voice just fell. Not far away, a fat middle-aged man came over with a smile and led a subordinate. The sound came before the person approached. Su, fellow Taoist, is extremely powerful, today really opened my eyes. Miss Mu is indeed worthy of being the pride of the Taizan sect, she can still win the challenge by leapfrogging. Now that Ms. Mu has won the first place in the competition, this is the Emperor's reward. Please take a look at it. This middle-aged man is none other than the referee on the original competition stage. Previously, when Situ Feng shot, he didn't know where he slipped away. Now, once again, his gap was obvious, which made people feel a little uncomfortable, but there was nothing they could do. After all, behind him is the Great Chu dynasty. From the perspective of the Great Chu dynasty, they definitely do not want to see all the sects in the territory huddled together. They can't wait for all the sects to be like Tai Xuanzong and Wujizong, they can't beat each other. The middle-aged man waved his hand. The subordinate behind him quickly took 2 steps forward, holding a jade box in both hands, and sent it to Mu Qingshe. Mu Qingshe nodded slightly, took the jade box, opened it and glanced casually. Inside lies a cultivation technique, the grade of which is the top grade of the earth. Mu Qingshe did not choose to watch the content of cultivation technique, but closed the jade box again and handed it back. Miss Mu, you are? The middle-aged man asked with a puzzled face. The cultivation technique of the top grade of the ground level may not be considered anything in the royal family of the Great Chu, but in the Tai Xuanzong or other sects, it is the supreme cultivation technique. But just like that, Mu Qingshe didn't seem to be moved at all. This is simply unbelievable. Can this cultivation technique be replaced by body refining cultivation technique? Mu Qingshe raised her delicate pretty face, her lavender eyes lightly glanced at the middle-aged man, and said. The middle-aged man frowned slightly when he heard this, and looked at Mu Qingshe with some doubts. He thought for a moment in his heart, and then said, it turns out that Ms. Mu wants body refining cultivation technique, it's really simple. Say it. He turned around and ordered to his subordinates. Go and replace Miss Mew with a body refining cultivation technique. Yes. His subordinates quickly nodded in response, and quickly disappeared from everyone's sight with small steps. Not long after, his man went down and came back. Holding the jade box in his hand, he came to Mu Qingshe again. Miss Mew, I don't know if this ground-level body refining cultivation technique suits your heart. The middle-aged man asked with a smile. However, Mu Qingshe didn't answer his words. She stretched out her slender hand to open the jade box, glanced casually, then handed the jade box to Su Chen, saying, I don't know if my brother will like this body refining cultivation technique. If senior brother doesn't like it, junior sister will let them change another one. Before that, she has already asked Master, what kind of cultivation technique or martial skill does Su Chen need? The body refining cultivation technique answered by her master. But this time, Mu Qingshe didn't have the confidence to see whether the master was wrong. After all, master has missed senior brother Su Chen many times. Forehead. Hearing Mu Qingshui's words, the smile on the face of the middle-aged man standing aside couldn't hold back. Isn't Mu Qingshe too generous? You know, this is the top-grade cultivation technique that everyone dreams of. Earth-level top-grade cultivation technique is free to give away, doesn't it feel distressed at all? And, what she said just now, if the brother is not satisfied, let someone change it. What does it mean? Do you regard this as your Tai Xuanzong scripture depositing pavilion? 1. Far away. There are still many arrogances who have never left. After hearing Mu Qingshui's words, they were all shocked. Su Chen is ridiculously strong right now. You, Mu Qingshe, were generous enough to give him a top-grade body refining cultivation technique. Then we entered the battlefield of 100 monsters, what else are we playing? Junior sister has a heart. Su Chen didn't put on a pretense and put on a show to refuse. For him, there is no need at all. Because, he is not saint. What you think about after paying is to gain something. If there is no gain, why do you pay? Obviously, Mu Qingshe is not a white-eyed wolf either. After receiving Su Chen's favor, all she could think about was how to repay it. Of course, it was also she who didn't want to owe anything. There are back and forth, this is the way normal people get along. If one party pays for nothing, and the other party keeps asking for it, and never thinks of getting anything back, then what is the use of it? As long as senior brother is satisfied. Seeing this, Mu Qingshe breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that this time, master did not miss the mark. Brother Su Chen really needs a body refining cultivation technique. Thinking about it carefully, it seems to be the case. Previously, senior brother Su Chen made great achievements in the outer sect trial, comprehended several cultivation techniques and martial skills from the monument of the emperor, but none of them were body refining cultivation techniques. Isn't it just missing a body refining cultivation technique? As everyone knows, Su Chen later chose a body refining cultivation technique from Tai Xuanzong Kengjing Pavilion. However, compared to the body refining cultivation technique in front of me, the level of the Xuanling golden body technique is still a bit too low. Golden jade glazed art. Su Chen glanced at the name of this body refining cultivation technique, and put it away casually. There are still a few days before the official opening of the 100 Monsters battlefield, and I will take advantage of this time to practice. He still has a bit of spiritual milk in his body, and he didn't dare to think about it until he reached great completion, but Xiaocheng still has no problems. Certainly, if there is a medicated bath to help, the progress will be faster. After going back, you can walk around Wangji City to see if there is any elixir suitable for Jinyu Luli Ju. If you two have nothing else to do, I will take my leave first. The middle-aged man said with a smile. No, Su Chen replied lightly. After seeing off the middle-aged man, Van Elder also came over with a happy smile on his face. Although there were some twists and turns in today's events, overall, Tai Xuanzong was the biggest winner. As for offending the Promise sect, Van Elder really didn't pay attention to this point. After all, the two forces had a deep hatred. In addition, Tai Xuanzong is not weaker than Wuzhizong, and the opponent dare not start a war without complete assurance. Fan Elder couldn't help laughing when he thought of the appearance of a peerless evildoer like Su Chen and a genius disciple like Mu Qingshe in Tai Xuanzong. Wait until both Su Chen and Mu Qingshe grow up. I'm afraid that the great Chu dynasty will act according to Tai Xuanzong's face. After Fan Elder praised Su Chen and Mu Qingshe, he waved his sleeves and released the flying spirit treasure, calling all the disciples to fly towards their residence. Compared with Tai Xuanzong's side, Wu Zhizong's side can be described as gloomy. The leader of his own team and the leader of Tai Xuanzong fought each other. But it's this strike, the difference in strength between the two sides will be judged immediately. If that's all there is to it, that's it. But the key point is that a genius disciple of his family was also beheaded by Mu Qingshe of Tai Xuanzong. They want revenge, but they can't find a reason to stand up. After all, the promised sect genius who died at the hands of Mu Qingshe didn't yell out the word admit defeat until his death. Since he did not admit defeat, it meant that the battle between the two sides was still going on. Mu Qingshe shot to kill the other party, so he could only condemn Mu Qingshe for being too heavy-handed from the moral point of view. They really can't pick out other problems. But if they just swallowed this breath like this, many disciples of the Wuji sect would not be able to do it. Why did Elder stop me today? In the room, Situ Feng stood in front of the window, with a terrifying killing intent lingering around his body. Obviously, he was dissatisfied with today's Wu Zhizong Elder's attempt to stop him. He knew he was no match for Su Chen. But what about using demonic beasts yourself? Once the demonic beasts are released, in his opinion, the outcome between himself and Su Chen is still unknown. I'm not stopping you, I'm saving you. The elder of Wuji sect sat cross-legged on the bed, with gray hair hanging over his shoulders, a pair of extremely sharp eyes that seemed to be able to penetrate people's hearts, staring at Situ Feng, said. Do you think you can fight Su Chen from Tai Xuanzong by releasing demonic beasts today? That's natural, Situ Feng spoke confidently. If you release the demonic beasts, you really have a fight with him. The elder of the Promise sect nodded slightly. Then why did the elder stop me? Situ Feng asked in confusion. Confused. As soon as his words fell, Elder snorted coldly, and the brilliance in his eyes flowed, and he said in a deep voice. Then Su Chen's movement is extremely terrifying. With his speed, do you think he will give you a chance to release demonic beasts? The moment your demonic beast's bag overflowed with the breath of demonic beasts, Su Chen was already ready to make a move. If the old man hadn't stopped you, I'm afraid that the moment you release the demonic beasts will be the time for you to fall. Without your control, no matter how terrifying the demonic beasts in your demonic beasts bag are, even if there is an ancient and strange bloodline, in the eyes of others, it is just an ownerless demonic beasts. At that time, there is no need for Su Chen to make a move, just one thought of Kings and Bei will be enough to crush him to death. Hearing this, Situ Feng showed hesitation, and said. Is the elder a little too ambitious for others and destroying his prestige? Then Su Chen, is he really that powerful? He. The elder of the Promise sect sneered when he heard this, looked at Situ Feng, shook his head and said. Even I can't completely see through that Su Chen. He might have stepped into the forbidden realm of Qi Si realm. But one thing can be guaranteed, without the help of demonic beasts, you are just a one-shot enemy in front of Su Chen. Hearing Elder's words, a look of shock flashed in Situ Feng's eyes, but his face was a little lonely. He originally thought that he was considered the best among the younger generation of the great Chu dynasty. Unexpectedly, the gap between himself and Su Chen would be so huge. If these words today came from someone else's mouth, it would be impossible for him to believe a single word. But these words came from the mouth of his own elder, and the authenticity has reached its peak. You don't have to be so depressed. Su Chen has already stepped into a forbidden realm once in the Qi gathering realm, and with experience, it will be very easy to step into the forbidden realm again in the Qi Si realm. There is something you need in the 100 Demons battlefield this time. Once you get it, the demonic beasts in your hands can go a long way, and it will be easy for you to step into the forbidden realm. At that time, not to mention Su Chen, even all the talents in the entire Great Chu territory will not be your opponent. The Promise sect elder reminded in a gentle voice. His main purpose was to let Situ Feng realize the gap between himself and Su Chen, not to undermine his self-confidence. What is the need? That elder said. Hearing this, Situ Feng raised his head suddenly, his face full of hope. Ancient Chongqi blood, elder said in a deep voice. Now that the matter is up to now, the old man will not hide it from you. There are 2 drops of divine blood in the 100 demons battlefield that are very important. One drop is the blood of ancient Changqi, and the other drop is the blood of vermilion bird. When you enter the battlefield of 100 demons, someone will help you get the blood of Changqi, but at the same time, you also need to help him get the blood of vermilion bird. I don't know who the elder is talking about. Situ Feng asked again. I can't tell you the specific identity of the other party for the time being, but I can tell you one thing. The other party is from the Great Shang dynasty. The elder of the Promise sect had a solemn expression, and spoke slowly. Great Shang dynasty. Hearing this, Situ Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. But soon he stopped thinking about it. At this moment, all his thoughts were on Changqi's blood. Although it is only Changqi blood, not Changqi blood essence, its value is also very terrifying. If you let the demonic beasts in your hand swallow, I'm afraid it will instantly break through a big realm. Once the demonic beasts contracted by yourself break through, it will be a real demonic beasts in the altar realm. The demonic beasts in the altar realm also contain the ancient Changqi bloodline in their bodies. A mere Su Chen. As Elder said, it is impossible to be an own opponent. 7 days later, in Su Chen's room, he sat in a wooden barrel, his eyes closed. Rumble. There was a deafening roar. This roar did not come from the outside world, but from the depths of Su Chen's mind. Now, Su Chen felt that there were countless clouds churning in the depths of On's mind, as if it was chaos. As the roar became louder and louder, the clouds in his mind also quickly dissipated. The depths of my mind gradually became clear, and a vast space appeared. This is the legendary Sea of Consciousness. It seems like a long time has passed, but it seems like only a moment has passed. Su Chen feels that On's 5 senses have been elevated to an extremely sharp. Even if he hasn't opened his eyes, everything within a kilometer radius is in his senses. In the center of the Sea of Consciousness, a stone platform the size of a palm floats quietly. The first appearance of the altar. This is the symbol of the altar realm. At this point, Su Chen also knew that he had successfully broken through the altar realm. A layer of golden light diffused from the depths of the Sea of Consciousness, enveloping Su Chen. Boom! An almost condensed divine sense swept out, sweeping in all directions. The disciples of the Taizan sect who lived nearby were suppressed to the ground before they knew what had happened. By the time they reacted, this divine sense had disappeared without a trace. Shintaijing early stage. Tianyan Shenju is also officially initiated. In the wooden barrel, Su Chen suddenly opened his eyes and muttered in a low voice. 7 days. Who knows, it was reported that Su Chen had stepped into the Forbidden Realm, causing a sensation in the entire Wangji city. Su Chen also broke through the Forbidden Realm without knowing why. For the entire 7 days, he has been attacking the Altar Realm. Today is finally a breakthrough, and the Tianyan Shenju is also worthy of initiation. Whether this speed is fast or slow. After all, he didn't just practice Tianyan Shenju. While breaking through the Altar Realm, he also practiced the Tianyan Shenju and the Jinyu Luliwei at the same time. The Jinyu Luliju has also successfully cultivated to Shaocheng, and it is not too far away from great completion. The reason why the advancement of Jinyu Luliju is so exaggerated. The main reason is that he spent a huge sum of 2,000 yuan in top-grade spirit stones in Wangji City, and forcibly accumulated the gold, jade and glazed arts to such an extent. Wow! Su Chen stood up abruptly. His whole body was radiant, his divine flames were boiling, and his body seemed to be poured from gold, full of explosive power. Even the hair was dyed with golden brilliance, like a picture of golden fire dancing. He awakened like a god, the golden blood qi soared into the sky, Wang Yangban's terrifying power surged, and an incomparably powerful aura erupted. Compared to before, my strength has increased by about 5 times. Su Chen muttered to himself. Don't underestimate the 5 times the strength. In the past, Su Chen's strength was at the forefront among his peers. Now, the strength has doubled by 5 times. Once this news gets out, I'm afraid it will make other people desperate. At the very least, Su Chen is invincible in the current altar environment. Thanks to the cultivation technique sent by Mu Qingshui, Su Chen suddenly thought of Mu Qingshui's figure in his mind, and smiled lightly. His previous efforts were not in vain. At the most critical moment, Mu Qingshui sent herself a top-grade body refining method. With my current strength, no one will be my opponent in the 100 monsters battlefield this time. Su Chen said secretly in his heart. The moment his thoughts fell. Outside the door, a Taizan sect disciple walked over respectfully. His face was a little pale. Just now, the moment he walked to the door, a surge of divine power suddenly poured out from Su Chen's room, instantly oppressing him to the ground. It took him a long time to recover. Although he was not injured, the coercion just now made him terrified. Fortunately, he knew that senior brother Su Chen would not treat him like that. Otherwise, he would have fled long ago. When he came to Su Chen's door, he collected himself, and then said respectfully, "Is senior brother Su Chen here?" Van Elder invited the senior brother to go and talk, saying that he has something important to ask. No. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Chen's voice came from the room. Soon, Su Chen walked out of the room. He was dressed in a purple robe, with a gentle and refined demeanor. He couldn't tell at all that he was the one who released the divine sense to suppress the disciples of the Taizan sect just now. Today is the opening day of the 100 monsters battlefield. At this time, it is reasonable for Van Elder to tell himself something. If it is as expected, it should be related to the battlefield of 100 monsters. When they came to Van Elder's residence, the two talked for about 2/4 of an hour. Van Elder was a little surprised by Su Chen's breakthrough, but he seemed to think it was reasonable, so he only praised it a few words. The things Van Elder instructed were indeed the same as what Su Chen guessed, and they were all things that need to be paid attention to after entering the 100 demons battlefield. Certainly, Van Elder also added a couple of extra words. It was nothing more than wanting Su Chen to pay more attention to the disciples of Taizan sect and minimize casualties. After all, the battlefield of 100 monsters is extremely dangerous. There is no shortage of disciples of various demonic beasts and various forces. If someone has malicious intentions in the 100 demons battlefield, it will be difficult for Tai Xuanzong to track down. Can't let the Great Chu dynasty open the secret realm again, and let people from Tai Xuanzong go in to find clues, right? Who knows, after Tai Xuanzong's people went in, did they look for clues or opportunities? After exhorting, Van Elder summoned the disciples who had the qualifications to enter the 100 demons battlefield this time. There were not many people, including Su Chen. There were no more than 12 people. Compared with other sects, this number can only be said to be comparable. 12 people stood on the flying spirit treasure. Van Elder stood at the forefront, pointing out. A ray of light sank into the flying spirit treasure. In an instant, the disc under their feet turned into a big sun, pierced through the air, and flew towards the outside of Wangji City. The battlefield of 100 demons is not in Wangji City, but outside Wangji City. It took a long time for a stick of incense to pass. Su Chen and his party came to a wild mountain range. This is an unnamed mountain range. Because it was too close to Wangji City, it was almost impossible to see the demonic beasts in Qi gathering. On weekdays, there are not many practitioners here. But today is different. There have been tens of thousands of Chu elite soldiers stationed here early. Each of them is dressed in golden armor, with blood like a dragon. These soldiers are like stars in the sky, guarding a valley. They gathered together. The terrifying power made the surrounding void tremble slightly. Without their permission, even a fly would not be able to fly in. Inside the valley, people from other sects have already arrived. Tai Xuanzong is considered to be later. Accompanied by the appearance of Tai Xuanzong's people, everyone in the valley looked at them one after another. After seeing the people of Tai Xuanzong, some people looked indifferent, some looked eager, and some turned a blind eye. The 9 princesses of Great Chu are dressed in a white palace dress, graceful and luxurious. When she saw Su Chen, she smiled at the corner of her mouth and nodded slightly, as a greeting. Behind her, a figure shrouded in divine light was at a loss when he saw the direction from which Princess 9 greeted him. This person is not someone else. It was Yi Rushui who was engaged to Su Chen. She looked in the direction where Princess 9 greeted her, and her heart was shocked. He really came. When I met Su Chen for the first time in the Yi family, Su Chen's strength was already Qi Si Realm 3rd stage. She was not surprised that Su Chen could come. It's just that Su Chen's current status surprised her a little. She remembered that Tai Xuanzong did participate in the 100 demons battlefield in the previous life. But the ending was very miserable. Because the Taizan sect has no leader, the strongest existence in the sect is a disciple of the Chi-Si realm 9th stage, whose combat power is not strong, and there is no Dharma phase on par with other sects' arrogance. And because of this, Tai Xuanzong didn't have a disciple who could do it. On the 100 Demons battlefield and his party, Tai Xuanzong was completely reduced to the laughingstock of the Great Chu dynasty. All kinds of bullying from the major sects, in the end not only failed, but also took in many disciples. Unexpectedly, Tai Xuanzong in this life is different from the previous life. Su Chen actually became the leader of Tai Xuanzong, and pushed Tai Xuanzong to a position that attracted much attention. This is simply unbelievable. But what made Yi Rushui feel the most unbelievable? The 9th princess seemed to be saying hello to Su Chen just now. What is the identity and status of the 9 princesses of Great Chu? In Yi Rushui's opinion, few of the various forces present could have a higher status than Princess 9. Only the eldest prince can compare with it. But the two are in competition. Although Su Chen's status is not low. But it's just not low. Compared with the Great Chu Ju princess, it's not even a star. But just now Princess 9 took the initiative to say hello to Su Chen. This made Yi Rushui a little messy. Yi Rushui glanced at the 9th princess in front of her, then turned her head to look at Su Chen. Her light blue eyes were full of doubts. Her intuition told her that there must be something shady between these two. But what it was, she couldn't guess. Now she's nothing more than a rogue cultivator's. It wasn't that he almost became the immortal king in his previous life. She has no power under her command, so naturally she has no sources of news. During this period of time, she has been staying in the mansion of the 9th princess, not knowing about Tai Xuanzong's deeds in the grand competition and the rumors that Su Chen stepped into a forbidden realm. The 9th princess is not obliged to provide her with news from the Emperor City. I thought I had made great progress, but I didn't expect his progress to be even more exaggerated than mine. Yi Rushui's pale blue eyes rolled over, and she sized up Su Chen carefully. With her eyesight, she could only tell that Su Chen had broken through to the altar level. But she didn't see through the specific stage of the altar realm. Looking past Su Chen, Yi Rushui casually glanced at the Taizan sect disciples behind him. When she saw Mu Qingshe, who was wearing a white robe and looked heaven-defying, her pale blue pupils suddenly shrank, and she murmured in a low voice. History has changed again. I see. Behind Su Chen, Mu Qingshe followed Su Chen step by step. On the surface, there is nothing special about her. But Yi Rushui knew. Mu Qingshui's future achievements are not weaker than hers. Last life, when she broke through true immortal, Mu Qingshui's cultivation base at that time was similar to her, possessing the appearance of a mortal king. As for whether Mu Qingshe had the breakthrough immortal king in the end, Yi Rushui didn't know. Because she didn't survive the immortal king catastrophe, so she was directly reborn. Seeing Mu Qingshui's figure again in this life, Yi Rushui couldn't recover for a long time. If she remembers correctly, at this time, Mu Qingshe had already stepped out of the Taizan sect and became a rogue cultivator, so she did not participate in this trip to the 100 Demons battlefield. The first time Mu Qingshe showed her prowess should be another matter several months later. At that time, Mu Qingshe was already in the Chi-Si realm 9th stage, and stepped into the realm of taboo. With one shot, he defeated 3 strong men of the early stage. After that battle, Mu Qingshe became famous throughout the world, making Tai Xuanzong regret it. But now, Mu Qingshe did not leave Tai Xuanzong, but followed Su Chen. It seems that the relationship between the two of them seems to be not bad. This made Yi Rushui unable to recover for a long time. What happened? The timeline of the previous life has come to this life, why is it all messed up? Su Chen walked in the forefront, leading the disciples of Taizan sect to the deepest part of the valley, and lined up with other sects. As soon as he stopped, he noticed something and turned his head to look not far away. At the end of the line of sight is a figure shrouded in brilliance behind the 9th princess. The divine light completely enveloped her, making it impossible to see her face clearly. The layer of divine light in her body is even more isolated from the prying eyes of divine sense, making it impossible for people to see the details. She was spying on me just now. Su Chen frowned slightly, and murmured in a low voice. He had just broken through the altar realm, and he had cultivated the Tianyan divine art to initiation. His intuition was extremely powerful. He just realized that someone seemed to be spying on him. But when he turned his head to look, but only saw a figure shrouded in divine light. This person is a bit mysterious. The layer of divine light in her body should be a magic treasures, or it may be a Lingbao. Su Chen looked at the figure shrouded in divine light and muttered in a low voice. He couldn't figure it out. Why did this person spy on him? Could it be that he regarded himself as an enemy? He pondered for a moment. Su Chen thinks it is possible. After entering the 100 Demons battlefield, unless they are brothers from the same sect, everyone else is almost an enemy. And the news that he had stepped into the Forbidden Realm in the past few days had spread all over Wangji City, and he was in the limelight. It was normal for some people to regard him as an enemy. After all, the moment he appeared in the valley, he noticed several hostile eyes. Among them are Situ Feng, Ji Yu Xuanyan and others. One more and one less has no effect on Su Chen. He took a deep look at the figure shrouded in divine light, then withdrew his gaze and stopped paying attention. Did he notice that I was watching him? Yi Rushui's heart skipped a beat. The whole person is like a frightened rabbit, and his heartbeat can't help but speed up a little. Su Chen's gaze just now was too deep, making her mistakenly think that she was seen through. Fortunately, I have a low-grade spirit treasure that blocks Su Chen's divine sense. Otherwise, she didn't think she could continue to hide. Although his strength has improved a lot, there is one thing I must remind him. The 9th princess is destined not to become the emperor of Great Chu. It is the most unwise choice to stand in line with the 9th princess at this moment, and there is no guarantee that you will not be liquidated by the first prince in the future. Yi Rushui secretly decided in her heart that after entering the 100 Demons battlefield, she would find a chance to have a private chat with Su Chen. In her opinion, the behavior of the 9 princesses greeting Su Chen just now is enough to show that Su Chen is already on the side of the 9 princesses. This is not a wise choice. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.